Hello and welcome to Guess Who's Talking. And what a pleasure to welcome today's guest, an author whose remarkable new book pulls back the curtain on one of Ireland's most intriguing, influential and famous families. While the Netflix drama inspired by their story had us all binge-watching, gasping and Googling, his book writes from the inside, revealing the real history behind the headlines. So it's a very warm welcome to the 4th Earl of Iveigh, also known as Arthur Edward Guinness. You're very welcome. Do I call you Lord Iveigh through it?
Please call me Ned.
Ned, okay, because the Guinness name is, you know, Arthur Guinness is in your name. It's a big name to carry.
Well, it's a bit more easy being Ned Guinness than Arthur Guinness. I don't get asked to pay for the drinks the whole time.
You know, your book came out to coincide with the Netflix series. Did you binge watch it like the rest of us did?
Well, I was privileged to be asked to watch the premiere, and I watched the premiere, the first 2 episodes of House of Guinness, and then I started watching at home. So it was a bit surreal, quite honestly, seeing the 4 bears being sub-dramatised like they were. I mean, I take my hat off to the effort. It is quite selective, and there are components I would challenge.
So were you sitting there thinking, well, that's not quite the way it happened?
I'm afraid, yes. You get your critique out, and I would say really good drama and etc. But in reality, were things like they are depicted. I was able to look at lots of research, you know, family papers and so on for my book. But, you know, I was able to get my book out first, so it was important that that was the case.
So were there a lot of eyebrows raised in your family when the series came out?
Well, some of us have loved the series and some of us have loathed the series. A mixed bag. We're a very big family, and, you know, it depends on what viewpoint you wish, you know, and if to watch a stonking drama is great fun. So, I mean, it is what it is, and it's great entertainment. So
huge production values in that, weren't there?
Well, absolutely, and very lovely young actors and actresses, and it's tremendous to see, you know, the filming as it was, and you know, I take my hat off to the effort.
Yeah. Let's talk about the book itself, Guinness: A Family Succession. So what inspired you then to tell your version of the story?
Well, my great-grandfather Rupert, he commissioned a book for us, the Guinnesses. About 30 copies were made. It was called A Man of His Time, and it was published privately 67 years ago. So that's kind of 2 generations back. So I had, for the basis of my book, the genesis came from The Man of His Time. And I wanted to make it more widely available and open it up.
Your attention to detail in the book is fantastic. Was it something of a labour of love, or how difficult was it to find all of that information?
I kept on getting bogged down with rabbit holes. I was able to collaborate with a wonderful historian called Antonia Hart. And so she helped me, and she put she made the book relevant to the Irish history of the day, contextualising the work of my family.
Did you discover any skeletons in looking at the family history that maybe didn't make it to the book?
I found so many different things. I mean, it was so difficult to choose what went into the book and what we had to leave out. You know, the book could have been 100 times longer and more. But, you know, I had to make a thread running through from the very first Arthur who founded the brewery in Dublin to really the end of my great-great-grandfather's life, who had floated the firm and bought out his brother. And then with threads running to this day.
Did it change how you had previously viewed your ancestors?
Well, I was really happy to be enabled to answer more questions, because questions do get asked, was this the case, was that the case, etc. And I was able, through the research in the book, to gather the first party evidence, and I found lots of things that I didn't know before.
What was it like growing up as a Guinness? Was it all silver spoons and formal dinners?
Well, we had a wonderful life, of course. It was greatly privileged and wonderful. It felt like living in Dublin was living in the countryside, and lovely people, lovely atmosphere. I was on the farm a lot.
So you did grow up in Dublin?
Did indeed, yes, family in Castleknock. And I had a lovely time, I have to say. And then backwards and forwards a little bit with my mother and my father. They had busy lives, so it was lovely to see them when we could as children. And it's what you make of it, isn't it? So I had a lovely time.
Because your family was fabulously, like inconceivably wealthy back in the day.
Well, back in the day, extraordinarily wealthy, but very human at the same time. I suspect the great grandparents, they were probably the wealthiest of us, but they didn't lose their track with common humanity, and I think that was very obvious with the research that I found and the things that they built in their lives that was supportive of so many other human lives.
Yeah, because philanthropy runs right through the Guinness story, doesn't it? Does that continue today then?
Well, it does. Yeah. I've got the privilege, along with 3 of my cousins, to be on the board of the Iveigh Trust, the fastest growing social housing association in the Leinster area around Dublin, and we have a hostel for the homeless, which is perpetually full, and obviously, the demand is ever so strong. That and a number of other family initiatives to this day are very strongly contributing to charities.
So you're still very hands-on with that, Ned?
Well, yes, along with a really good bunch of people who give their time for nothing, the trustees, so representing all walks of life and aspects of these things are very complex to run, and as trustees, we have to take the responsibility for the organisation and its communities.
There is such a fascination, isn't there, with great families and dynasties like yours right now. We've seen Downton Abbey and The Crown and all of these aspirational dramas, I suppose, and yours is just the latest one of those. What do you think that fascination's all about?
Well, I think it's rather extraordinary. In the context of when a new business starts, you're lucky if you operate for 18 months. The success or failure rate is so strong. So my papa was a 5th generation brewer, and we've been brewing for 233 years. So, that in itself was extraordinary, but it's not that in itself that was extraordinary. It was really the achievements that came along. I'm a very ordinary person, but obviously the shoulders of giants, if you like. So I was very happy with my book to be able to paint the picture and hopefully give people hope and positivity, and actually people can do. We must all remind ourselves that we can do in our own small ways, that small things turn into bigger things.
I suppose these stories kind of demystify what it's like to be, growing up in that family that actually are real people after all.
Well, that's it. Common humanity, and so long as we keep our goodness, and I always think if you put a smile on someone's face in a day, that in itself is an achievement, and we must remind ourselves, to notch up the little things each day.
You are still Lord Iveigh, but you don't sit in the Lords anymore.
Well, I was privileged to be in the Lords in the first place as an Irish person from south of the border. I was actively involved. I fought for the British passports for the people of St Helena, Tristan da Cunha and Ascension Island, which successfully got reintroduced when Robin Cook was Foreign Secretary, back there many years ago now. But I was kicked out in my 20s, and it was a wonderful experience.
Part of Tony Blair's reforms of the Lords back then.
That's right, and more reforms are being talked of now.
So let's move it on back to your family. And when we left the House of Guinness Netflix series, and it's kind of set up there to have another chapter. Do you think, is there another chapter in you for your book? Another book? I think there really is, and I'm busy distributing Guinness, the beer, to the people of St Vincent and the Grenadines. Really? So there are links that are ongoing, and I think we can work away on some of the remarkable things in the 20th and into the 21st century. What do you think your ancestors would make of what you've written, and indeed of the series? Well, I hope they will find what I've written as fair and true and honest. I didn't want to conceal things. I think that what they would think about television, you know, of course, hadn't come along. It was far, far from their day. So I think to get their heads around television or broadcasting would be one thing. But my late father used to say there's no such thing as bad publicity, and I think he was almost consistently right. I have to ask you one final question. Do you drink Guinness? I love Guinness. You do? I love Guinness. It's my beer of choice. It doesn't stop me from testing other things, but I do wholeheartedly believe it does give me energy in a day. Do you? I mean, they used to give it to people in hospital. They back in the day they gave said it would give you iron and everything. That's right. And the firm used to do surveys of GPs, and the vast majority of responding GPs gave the response that Guinness they felt was good for one's health. And yes. Very finally, can you split the G? I do my best. I'm not consistently a splitting the G person. I was introduced to this phenomenon by Rupert, one of my sons. I have to try. It's not perfected, my splitting the G. More practice perhaps needed, yeah. Much more needed. It's been fascinating talking to you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and continued success, Ned Guinness. Lynda, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Well, now join me after the break. I'll be talking to Jay Miller, who's also known as Jay the Barber.
For 35 years, we have shared unforgettable stories on the big screen with you. From first dates to family nights, from blockbusters to indie gems, you've been with us every step of the way. The past was magic. The future, even brighter. Thanks for being part of our story. See you at the movies.
Hello and welcome back. Well, our next guest is a real Belfast character. He's a dad of 6, a barber with a heart as big as the city itself. And he's somebody who's spent years giving back to the community by offering free haircuts to people who really need them but can't afford them. But just a few months ago, life threw him a huge curveball. He suffered a seizure and he was in a coma for weeks. Doctors weren't even sure that he'd pull through, but he believes God had other plans. Since then, he's made it his mission to spread kindness and maybe the odd snip or two with the scissors wherever he goes. Hello and welcome, Jay the Barber. Jay, it's a miracle you're even sitting here at all, isn't it? Tell me about what happened to you.
So I was driving into town on a Sunday morning to get a coffee, and on the way back I actually didn't feel too well, so I pulled over, pressed park in my Jeep and stepped out and just took a seizure. Never took a seizure in my life. And all I know is I woke up 3 weeks later with my wife at the end of the bed saying they know who I was, and that's how it all started.
Wow. And how did you feel when you came around? I mean, did you know that in the background to all of that was a huge social media campaign you'd half of the people in the world praying for your survival?
The stuff that was going on was, I remember Orla telling me there's been 13.5 grand donated for donations for you, and I'm going, why? Because obviously I didn't know what happened. And it took me like days to come off lemons, taking the sedation and stuff, and it was a crazy time. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever went through, but I believe God was with me the whole way, and that's the only thing that gave me strength. But it was amazing to obviously pull through and obviously be back to work.
You're Belfast born and bred. You're a hugely busy man, and you go around the streets of Belfast cutting hairs of homeless people. Now, where did all that come from?
That came from 2009, 2010. I went into the city centre on Christmas Day to do homeless cuts, and that first time I ever done that, the joy that and the stuff on his face, I was like, this is amazing, I'm going to start doing this. And then the last couple of years, it just went from strength to strength, from working with Belfast Teen Challenge, Pastor Brian, and I didn't realise there were so many people in need. And this haircut isn't just about a haircut, it's an entry point of me speaking and having the chance to speak to people in need.
Where did that love of barbering come from?
I was trained as a barber, and then I started with Jason Shankies in Ballyhackamore. They retrained me, and I learned very early on that making people look and feel good meant so much to me, and that's how my business took off, and that's how we actually have 2 shops today that we're actually teaching people and training people, which is a great entry point of helping so many people from so many angles.
And what do you think is the most powerful reaction that you get? I mean, because there's something about a hairdresser's chair, isn't there? You feel you have to pour your soul out to the person cutting your hair. Do you find that?
I get so many opportunities where people come into the shop, or it's obviously I'm doing it so long. I think I'm cutting hair now 18 years or just over 18 years. And these people are coming in, you just know when they sit in your chair that here we go, it's going to come out. No, I mean, you're going to be able to speak to them about all sorts of stuff. Whether it's, I always, when I'm teaching, I always mess the students about when we're doing the teaching, and I say, make sure you be speaking to your clients and talk about your ex-wife, your ex-husband. Just make sure you're talking, and it's always a good bit of humour to start them.
It's kind of a therapy for your clients, isn't it?
That's it,
yeah.
Definitely.
You know, all of that too, and yet you didn't have the greatest start to life, did you? How comfortable do you feel talking about that?
Starting off, my mother was an alcoholic, and we were in all sorts of foster parents' homes, and me and my younger brother Wayne went to stay in a Carnview home, and we ran away from that home one night, and by chance he got knocked down and killed in front of me. And from that, I think me being like, I always say I'm like Peter Pan, I never grew up, and I think I only grew up about 6 months ago. But the thing about my past and all, I'm glad I went through it. It was hard obviously as a child, but it makes you who you are and what you go through, and helping so many other people. And the thing about going through all the child care system and stuff, it's not easy, you know what I mean? And this is, I can understand why you can relate to people that end up on drugs and stuff. So my childhood and what I went through is obviously, even in my book and stuff, that's why I wrote it down in the book. There's 1,100 people's bought that book, and I said to myself, imagine writing a book and nobody bought it. And the thing about it is, yes, I've had a crazy life, but I'm grateful for it because it's helped so many other people.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. And you know, you're talking about that, going down that road of trying to escape from those terrible memories and so on. You kind of went down that road yourself, didn't you?
I think for so many years, I actually thought to myself that I deserved this pain, honestly. I'm thinking back, obviously I'm 43 now, but 10 years ago in my life, the way I was thinking and all, obviously being partying, taking coke and everything else, I thought to myself, nobody's going to stop me doing this. I've been through this. My brother was killed and all this, I deserve this and all this here, because before my mother had passed away 2 years prior to Wayne then, she says, whatever happens, just make sure you look after Wayne. And the night he died is the night he wasn't meant to come with us, but it's just one of them things. It's just the way your life's planned out for you.
Yeah, so you took that guilt on board. Where did things change for you then? Because your life couldn't be more different now.
My life changed whenever I'd done an Alpha course, which is a 12-week course learning about God, how to receive the Holy Spirit with Kermoney Church. And the ironic thing is, whenever I had the shop in Bloomfield Avenue, I was doing all this guerrilla marketing and I was going to actually mock not God, but mock Christians about being a Christian, and I ended up a Christian myself. So it's amazing that doing the 12-week course, learning about God, getting saved, has helped me so much and given me so much peace. Yeah. Where I was like this child running about, that's not knowing what I was doing and everything else, and obviously it's just one of them things. It's but drinking, drugs and partying. I was thinking that was going to help me, or it was nearly like escapism away from it, but it was the worst thing I could have done. But the thing about it is, now that you go through all that and you can speak and help other young people, because so many young people think that this is a cool thing to do, to watch Netflix and to do this and to do that, and they're going, I want to be a drug dealer, I want to be this, where now I'm getting so many people that want to be me or be like me, which is amazing, because at the end of the day, I'm just a barber. I'm an ordinary person, but if I can help so many young people, that's what I'm aiming to do, not so much the homeless, but helping young people.
So I guess you use your story to relate to young people and meet them where they're at.
Well, I have a fella, Kevin, that was in a really bad way, and Kevin speaks about this all the time in his testimony, and I got him helping, got him on the Teen Challenge, and he went away for 2 years and he came back, and last week he sent me a picture of some girl. She was sitting about to take cocaine, and she see my videos that I do, and she says, I'm going to Teen Challenge, get me, and he's driving the Teen Challenge bus on the motorway, and he says, do you want me to tell you something? Jay got me on the Teen Challenge as well. So at the end of the day, God's the mighty works through me, and at the end of the day, I'm only the messenger, which is amazing.
How does all that make you feel? You know, when from the barber's chair to stories like that, there's lives there that are impacted by your story.
I think it's because obviously I'm not just, I believe I'm an out of the box Christian. At the end of the day, I'm not like everybody else and run about in shorts, tattoos and buck teeth. But the thing about it is, if there's people come into the shop and they can open up to me, at the end of the day, it's an entry point to help so many people. You know what I mean? Whether it's from drugs or drinking, and I'm very sensitive, so I know straight away when stuff's happening or somebody's not feeling right. In the perspective, then I can just start talking to them about stuff. And there was a fella, Kevin, that came over from homeless. He came into the shop and he was homeless. He had no money for haircuts. He said, £6. I says, listen, I cut his hair, and I said, Mum, I'll pray for it. He says, I'm not into that, I'll pray. And I says, never was I. So I started praying for him in the kitchen. He started crying, and he came back the next day. He says, what was all that about? He says, I was on the shank and I opened a tin of beer. He says, God, see if you're real, give me a sign. Cast all your burdens upon me, because I care for you. And I says, listen, it's just I'm just a messenger. If I can get a chance to pray for somebody and it helps them, it's amazing things.
So you're talking about your tattoos, and I was noting earlier you're in shorts. You're really well inked, aren't you?
I'm like a colouring in book.
Have you replaced one addiction with another?
I think it's just, I just don't want to give up. Either work or else tattoos or whatever it is.
Just going back to, within the last year and the seizure that you had and all that you've been through in your life, how does that make you view life now? Experiences like that. Was there a point there maybe that you felt you weren't going to survive?
Definitely. There were so many people thought I was dead already. To be honest, one of the pastors came up to ICU, Pastor Brian Madden, and he was standing over me, and he's I'm not just making this up. Pastor Brian preached in the church about it. He says, like, he was going to pray for me, and the neurosurgeon says there's no point praying for Jay because he's brain dead, and if he comes back from this, it'll be a total miracle. And Pastor Brian says, well, I believe in miracles, and he prayed for me, and 4 or 5 days later, everything started to come round and start to change. And I know obviously people think I had a fall, a seizure, but they don't realise how bad I was. Like, I was really bad. We've actually bumped into 2 nurses, and they're talking to me like in awe, going, I can't believe that you're okay, and you're actually... And they thought I was never going to speak again too, because of the damage that was done at the front of the head, but God's good.
You believe that you're here for a purpose?
Definitely. The thing about it is, it's not even just about praying for people. At the end of the day, there's so many broken people out there in this city. There's so many people that need help, and at the end of the day, even if it's something so small, you can help them, and it's a win for me, like, to help them.
Well, there's no sign of you slowing down at all, Jay, is there?
I think at 43, I need to start thinking about what's... or else get myself a good hobby, or fishing or something.
And 6 children that itself seems to me like you must be kept busy at home cutting hair, never mind people in your barber chair.
I've actually got an amazing wife for her that she does all the work and helps. Like, she's very, very, she's like a well-oiled machine. So I'm in the shop cutting where she has everything sort of way sorted. And I think behind every good businessman, there's always a great woman. And the thing about it is, if without her, I wouldn't be where I am today, because once she keeps me grounded and helps me in so many different angles. Everybody sees Jay on the social media, and God love her. Like, she's in the back doing all the hard work and people don't see what she's doing. So I have to give her a lot of credit for.
You're a great partnership together, aren't you?
Amen, amen.
What's next for you? Have you any big ambitions or big projects that you'd like to get in before that moment when you hang up the scissors?
I would love to help. I would like to get something creative where I'm helping young people, because a lot of young boys and girls obviously are on these vapes and don't realise that actually what's in them. And the life that I've had and the road that I've had, like, I'm living proof that you can get help and get. It's not just all about getting saved. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to force it down people's throat. What I'm trying to show people is my life. And like, 3 people rung my church when I first got saved. I said, Daphne Jay, the one with tattoos, get saved. Because I
There was some doubt,
they thought there was a bit of doubt. But
well, it's all in the book, Jason to Jay, My Story. And how many people have read it?
We've sold 1,100 copies, and that's actually been made.
1,100.
It's being made into film already, so it's going to be in the next 6 months. There'll be a film as well.
It's great to speak to you, Jay. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you.
Heading to the North Coast, the Jet Centre in Coleraine offers entertainment for everyone. There's an 8-screen movie house cinema with all the best movies, 10-pin bowling, a massive arcade, soft play for the wee ones. Outdoors, there's a mini fun park and gem mining, plus an 18-hole floodlit mini golf course. Rain or shine, there's something for everyone here at the Jet Centre. Find out more at thejetcentre.co.uk.